Hi, Bob.
Hi, Dean.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm good. It's so nice to finally meet you after all our emails. I hope I wasn't pestering you
Hey,
too
we're
much.
almost on the minute. It's lucky. I usually have more trouble getting on. I've got equipment that was like made in the last century, so
No, you're
bear
doing
with me.
great. Well,
But it was
this
fun.
is a podcast that sort of celebrates the art of roasting with a special emphasis on writing for roast, which is why we're so excited to have you on because it's a rare opportunity to speak to somebody that wrote on so many Dean Martin roasts. I wanted to ask you
Oh, no
something that I
way.
think people might have a hard time believing, which I found fascinating. The whole time you worked on the Dean Martin roasts, is it possible that you never met Dean Martin?
Yeah, I never met him on the D. Martin Road. I met him on the Bob Hope show years later.
That's so funny.
Uh, and the reason was that Dean took the Dean Martin roast only because it wouldn't require much work. What happened was uh, he got tired of doing the variety show where he had
Right.
to actually host a show, and they wanted to keep doing it because the ratings were solid, but he was getting tired of it. So Greg Garrison, in his wise, he was really a sharp guy, and
He was the producer of the variety show and the
yeah,
roasts.
and the
Yeah.
director too, and he guided Dean in the early days, and he really knew how to handle Dean and what Dean would go for. So he says, I've come up with this idea that you can play golf all the time, and then we'll comp the a big hotel in Las Vegas, and we'll get all the stars stay there for nothing because it draws the people, and you know how stars were in those days in Vegas. It was just great. And so we'd be there taping all these shows and all these big stars. You get on a elevator and there'd be Jimmy Stewart standing there. You know, hey Jim.
Wow.
Yes, yeah. Well, and so it was just a kick to see how the show was done. So it, everybody was happy. It was just
What was amazing is if when you watch those Dean Martin, I mean, the rumor is always that Dean Martin would be on the golf course to the last minute and then just come in, but he was
yeah.
so loose and so capable.
Well,
He really hit his lines, and he really, is the
he
master
was
at that.
one bright guy. He had no formal schooling to speak of. I never did find out. He was a character and the nicest guy, but uh, a very quick study and very smart.
Now it's time to introduce the master of the insult, the only man who holds a black belt for hatred. Evil Knievel's next jump is his mouth. Ladies and gentlemen, I hope you've had your rabies shots because here he comes, Mr. Don Rickles.
But literally, Dean would not come anywhere near the offices that we had across from NBC when we were writing the show. God, I doubt he even knew where we did it. But Garrison was on top of it.
That's
And then
amazing.
on the roasts, by the time he was doing that, he would just fly in on the day of the taping.
Yeah.
But Dean would come in, Harry would go up, go through the monologue with him, and the, the theme song would come up. Dean would come out. Da, 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 da.
The Dean Martin Celebrity Roast, coming to you from the MGM Grand Hotel in the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada.
I have to remind him who are we honoring. And well, just look to your left, Dean, and be a big portrait of the guy. Oh, yeah, you got that thing. Yeah. Then at the end, literally, they had the stage set up so that there was a stage door at the very end, and he could have his limo there. And as the theme was playing, he'd march down, get into the car, and he'd be in the air by the time the music finished. Just that quick. He couldn't wait to get the hell out of Vegas because by that time, it was uh, anathema to him. He didn't like the life up there. He never was really a show type, that kind of guy. He
Right.
wanted to be with his family and go home, eat some good Italian food, and play golf. And that was his life.
There's a
Perry Como, another Italian singer. Very much the same. Very simple guys, really.
There's a famous story about Dean Martin where he was having a party at his house and he got tired of the party and he went up to his bedroom and called the police on his own party.
Yeah.
So the police showed up and he wanted the place cleared out and he didn't know how to do it, so he called the cops.
Right. No, don't doubt it. Yeah. No, so yeah, I didn't meet him on that whole. I had no chance to meet him because none of the writers did, and that was it. So that's the way it went until we had him as a guest years later on the Hope special. And I said to him, Dean, I got to thank you. And he said, hey, Pally, what are you thanking me for? I said, well, I want to thank you for my house. I got a nice house in Studio City. I got a couple of dogs, a couple of nice cars, a 3-car garage. What are you talking about? I said, Dean, I worked for you on the Dean Martin roast. Oh, Pally, I was in all of a sudden remembering, that was great times we had, yeah. So,
that's amazing.
But
of the 10 or 12 roasts that you worked on some huge ones. I mean, you honored Frank Sinatra, you honored Jimmy Stewart, George Burns, Red Fox, and you had people like Ronald Reagan on the dais, Orson Welles, Lucille Ball. Anybody in particular stand out from those big nights of all those star-studded nights?
And now, one of the most interesting stories from the roast that I tell, we were doing a show in Vegas. I forget who was, we were honoring Red Fox, I think. And Don Rickles was booked. And at the last minute, he calls Garrison. He says, I just got a booking that I've been trying for years to get, and I've got to fly to Paris or something. And he just couldn't do the show. So Garrison, in his wisdom, this was brilliant. We do the show, but without Don Rickles. And then when we got back to Burbank, he took photographs of the entire dais as it looked up there, and then had big cardboard cutouts of everybody who was sitting there. So when Rickles came in at NBC to this replica dais, he'd look down and he could see where everybody was seated. And Dean was supposed to be right next to him, and he'd kid him and stuff. Rickles came in. There were about 3 of us who watched this and some other technical people. And that was it. That was the only audience he had.
So in other words, Rickles did the roast to nobody, and you guys inserted it into the roast.
To nobody. So, but how talented Rickles was to be able to just recreate the feeling of Las Vegas over at that dead NBC studio. So the only thing that you don't see is Rickles and Dean Martin in the same shot together. You just see Rickles, and then Dean Martin reacts to what Rickles said.
Ah, interesting.
And it's back and forth like that.
Was that just done that one time with Rickles, or were things fudged a lot for that?
That was the only time that that was done, and it was only done for Rickles because Garrison wanted him so badly.
Yeah.
His rating rates were always good. Any Dean Martin roast with Don Rickles always was higher rated than any other show, and Garrison was very aware of that. So that's pretty much why he did that for Don, and he loved Don, and so did I. I think Don was such an anomaly because he was nothing in real life like you would think. He was the softest. He's a big pussycat kind of a guy, and you'd think, how can he get out there and insult strangers? Is that your wife? Or you've married a goat, for God's sake.
Dean, I thank you for your wonderful introduction. You would love the evening if you knew you were here.
That's what he was doing. He was acting the part of a smart-mouthed comedian making fun of people, but he knew how to do it in such a way that they wouldn't kill him.
Right.
And anybody who could talk to Sinatra like that has a lot of guts.
Oh, he used to say horrible things to Sinatra. Yeah, don't just sit there, Frank. Enjoy yourself. Hit somebody. And all
that's right.
I have one last question I might want to ask you, because the episode of our podcast that this interview is going to go in is kind of Oscar themed. We're gonna roast Will Smith because he's of the slap when he slapped Chris
Oh,
Rock
yeah,
at the
yeah,
Oscars.
that's good.
And I know Bob Hope, of course, he hosted the Oscars more than anybody. He holds the record.
More than
I think
anybody,
he,
right.
19
and
times.
I got to write one of them. I got to write on the staff of one Academy Awards. And I had an aunt who, no matter what else I did, when I got that gig, that was it for her. You wrote the Academy Awards? Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, God. It was like the end of the world. Oh, I'm related to a writer on the Academy Awards.
Wow.
But it was the 50th anniversary. I forget what year it was, in the 80s. And he hosted it. And we wrote the monologue.
Did you guys? Do you think that in Hope's day, and I know when Johnny Carson hosted too? I mean, insult humor was kind of a part of those monologues. They would tease the stars in the audience and things like that.
And it's really sad today that things have become so politically correct and silly. Jesus, we're comedians. That's what you do. You have to insult somebody,
Right?
Or you don't have a joke. That's what jokes are. If
Yeah.
you're not insulting somebody or something, it's not a joke. It's a statement of some kind.
Right.
Anyway, I want to thank you for having me on your podcast here.
Yeah, Bob, I can't thank you enough. It's such a treat to talk to somebody that was such part of two big legacies that were a big part of my love of show business, the Dean Martin roasts and the Bob Hope specials. So,
okie doke, Dean. Thank you, and thanks for the listeners for sticking with us.
All right, take care. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.